Following Putin, Hungary is preparing its own special military operation against Ukraine. A post appeared online with the text, Operation Turul, coming soon, the return of Transcarpathia to the motherland. The post was accompanied by a video report allegedly showing columns of Hungarian armored vehicles heading toward the Ukrainian border. The spokesperson for the State Border Guard Service, Andriy Demchenko, assured that Hungary is not moving military equipment to the border with Ukraine. It's all fake. The Center for Countering Disinformation under the National Security and Defense Council confirmed that the entire story is fake. The built-in social network artificial intelligence Grok noted that this is a speculative scenario designed to stir up nationalist sentiment in Hungary, rather than representing any real military operations or plans. The disinformation about the Hungarian Operation Turul was first spread by an anonymous account called Hungary-based. As it turned out, this account has absolutely no connection to Hungarian media or government agencies. This account often spreads the idea of returning Transcarpathia to Hungary.
And obviously it is quite provocative in nature. And from this perspective, we can say that it very much resembles the hand of Moscow.
The post on DX gained over 1 million views and fueled yet another round of propaganda about European troops seizing Western Ukraine.
Only Russians could talk about an attempt at a special military operation by Hungary.
Hungary would never be allowed to invade Ukraine militarily, since almost all of its defense capability is provided by NATO and its allies, and the country itself is a member of the European Union. Besides that, Ukraine clearly has a military advantage.
Such an action would immediately provoke a very strong reaction from the European Union. And third, when we talk about the armed forces of Ukraine, which currently number this, of course no one knows the exact figure, but the information was somewhere around 700,000 people. And the Hungarian armed forces, just for the record, are 19,000 people plus 12,000 reservists. Obviously, these forces are simply incomparable.
As it turned out, the footage showing military equipment was not preparation for an invasion, but part of the annual Ludovica festival, featuring a display of military hardware.
The Hungarian Ministry of Defense has already explained that the video circulating online showing armored vehicles in Budapest is connected to the Ludovica Festival, an annual public event. Other materials from the fake correspondence are archival footage from exercises that took place in November 2023.
Such disinformation campaigns benefit Russia. Their goal is to create a tense situation between Ukraine and neighboring countries. Previously, Russia spread a similar fake about the mining of the border with Hungary, Moldova, or EU countries.
All of this is aimed at truly destabilizing the relationship between the two countries, which is already far from cloudless. You know, there are also quite a few examples where the Russians acted in the same way. For example, when there were rather complicated relations with Poland, there was a grenade launcher attack on the Polish consulate in Lviv.
Fake information about the movement of military equipment to the border appeared the day after. The Security Service of Ukraine on May 9th, for the first time in history, exposed an agent network of Hungarian military intelligence that was spying against Ukraine. According to the investigation, they were gathering data on the deployment of Ukrainian armed forces in Zakarpattia.
I can believe that such a network might exist, especially given Hungary's unfriendly policy towards Ukraine. But the real question is, why did this come out right now? Perhaps the arrest couldn't be, kept under wraps like that. Maybe Hungary's reaction was quite negative when they were informed through closed channels.
Budapest, for its part, did not remain silent. In Hungary, 2 Ukrainians were detained and urgently deported back to their homeland. In response, Kiev expelled 2 Hungarian diplomats. Such disinformation is only needed for psychological pressure and benefits Russia as it aims to pit Ukrainians and Hungarians against each other.
We live in the era of post-truth, when the fact itself has no importance at all. What matters is the interpretation. A video is taken, a real video, which is then interpreted in whatever way the manipulator needs. And in fact, many people fell for it. Obviously, first and foremost, information needs to be verified. You need to use online tools to check the videos, images, and the text itself. Do this kind of fact-checking so you don't fall for things like that.
The Prime Minister of Hungary seems to have decided to play along with the Kremlin. Orban announced an unprecedented intelligence operation by Ukrainian special services against his country and reported that the Defense Council would be convened because of it. It is worth noting that the Ukrainian special services are not ignoring the situation. Special measures have been carried out in the border regions.
Russia is planning to drag Belarus into the war and is already preparing a new attack from its territory this summer. President Zelensky stated this during his speech at the Three Seas Initiative summit. According to him, the planned joint exercises of the aggressor country and its satellite pose a real threat that must be taken seriously. The same kind of exercises, which participants referred to simply as drills, turned out to be real combat coordination before the invasion of Ukraine. This is usually how they start a new incursion.
This is how her new attacks usually begin. But against whom this time? I don't know. Ukraine, Lithuania, Poland, God willing, it won't happen. But all of you must be prepared. All our institutions are ready to cooperate. Through our intelligence services, we are ready to share information about threats in our region. We also propose to intensify cooperation between security advisors so that each country can help bring this war to an end through diplomatic means.
Every voice matters. Join our community, support independent journalism and help us bring you the truth from Ukraine. Become a member of Ukraine today. Join us now.
The Zapad 2025 exercises are scheduled by the countries for September. And this means experts say that the first Russian troops will begin arriving in Belarus as early as July. The total number of troops participating in the exercise has not yet been officially announced. At the beginning of the year, the Belarusians stated that these exercises would be the largest ever. Now, anonymous sources have told the Belarusian opposition media outlet Zerkalo that we are talking about 100,000 military personnel.
According to the information we have received, it is possible that these exercises will take place in so-called triangles. The first triangle is the border, the area of Belarus, Lithuania and Poland, the well-known Suwałki corridor. The second triangle is G, the junction of the borders of Ukraine, Poland and Belarus. Accordingly, the main exercises are held there. The European Union will be forced to move its reserves to defend against a possible potential strike at this section of the border. And Ukraine will be forced to deploy part of its reserves to protect the Ukrainian border from the Belarusian side. I'm not ready to say whether aggression will be used or not. But the very fact of creating these threats and risks will lead to certain consequences. Because if Ukraine is forced to move part of its reserves, it will have fewer forces and resources to defend its territories at the front line and to liberate its lands. I think this might be the intention of both Putin and his ally Lukashenko.
It is known that the Belarusians are trying to attract international observers to the Zapad 2025 exercises. Already the media are reporting that representatives from Hungary and Slovakia will be monitoring how the Union state plans to advance westward. There were also observers at the large-scale exercises in 2021, and in fact, they were watching the plan for the destruction of Ukraine.
Exercises are a method of putting pressure on countries and demonstrating military capabilities. Because after them, some kind of ultimatum might be issued, or it could even be announced during these exercises. If it is not accepted, these exercises could escalate into aggression. In 2022, let me remind you, the exercises began in December 2021, and at that time we heard Putin's ultimatum that NATO must return to the 1997 borders, that the Baltic states must leave NATO, because according to the agreements made when they gained sovereignty and independence, after the collapse of the USSR, one of the conditions was that they would not join anti-Russian blocs and would not become members of NATO. And it is precisely from this that the Russian narrative emerges. These exercises also stem from this. As soon as they begin, we will hear a new ultimatum, and the observers will act as agents of influence, telling us that there is such an armada there that you can't withstand it. So, let's negotiate, while there is still room to make concessions.
In a poke-poked interview with the publication Current Time, representatives of the organization Belpol, founded by former Belarusian security officers who opposed the Lukashenko regime, stated that, in their opinion, the Zapad 2025 exercises themselves are unlikely to pose a direct threat to the Baltic states and Poland. But the military power in Minsk is only gaining momentum.
By the year 2028, Belarus will have the capacity to produce about 300,000 rocket projectiles annually. For the Grad system, around 450,000 artillery shells and more than 100,000 unmanned aerial vehicles of various types. Virtually all Russian equipment, even the oldest Russian equipment, will be modernized thanks to Belarusian enterprises that produce sights for armored vehicles.
The year 2028. That is the year NATO has referred to as the potential year of a clash between the alliance and Russia. According to experts, the accuracy of this forecast largely depends on what kind of peace deal the United States manages to impose. Ukrainian experts are less optimistic. According to their forecasts, the West could provoke Russia and its satellites into aggression even earlier. And let no one be misled by the fact that even now, the Russians are sending both convicts and cannon fodder recruited from all over the world to the battlefield. The aggressor country, which knows how to wage modern warfare, still has enough strength for aggression. That is why the democratic world must do everything possible to prevent exercises, combat coordination, and therefore aggression from the territory of Belarus. But for now, Ukraine's partners do not even have a unified position on what role Belarus is playing at the current on stage of the war.